Chosen one, if there is one truth you need to hold on to as you enter this new season of your life, it is this: the greatest transformation God performs does not begin around you, it begins within you. Before people notice a difference in your life, God is already creating a difference in your heart. Before your circumstances begin to change, your thinking begins to change. Before your opportunities become greater, your character becomes stronger. This is how God prepares His people for the future He has designed for them. Many people spend their lives asking God to change their surroundings while resisting the changes He wants to make within them. They pray for better relationships but refuse to become more patient. They ask for greater influence but avoid developing humility. They seek success but neglect the discipline required to sustain it. God understands that lasting transformation is never built on outward appearances alone. It begins with a renewed heart, a renewed mind, and a renewed purpose. Perhaps you have noticed something different about yourself recently. The things that once distracted you no longer seem as important. The habits that once felt comfortable now feel out of place. Conversations that once excited you may no longer bring the same satisfaction. This does not necessarily mean you are losing yourself. It may mean you are becoming the person God has been preparing you to be. Growth often feels unfamiliar because it calls you beyond the version of yourself you have always known. That is why transformation can sometimes feel uncomfortable. It asks you to think differently, respond differently, and make choices that reflect the person you are becoming instead of the person you used to be. God is gently teaching you that your identity is not determined by your past mistakes, your disappointments, or the opinions of other people. Your identity is shaped by the values you choose to live by each day. Every time you choose patience over anger, integrity over compromise, forgiveness over bitterness, and faith over fear, you are participating in the transformation God is working within you. Many chosen ones become discouraged because they cannot yet see visible results. They wonder if anything is changing. They look at their circumstances and assume that because nothing around them has shifted, nothing is happening. But the most important work often takes place where no one else can see it. Think about the foundation of a building. Before the structure rises into view, countless hours are spent strengthening what lies beneath the surface. Without that hidden foundation, the building could never stand. Your spiritual growth follows the same pattern. God strengthens your foundation before He expands your influence. He develops your character before He increases your responsibilities. He teaches you faithfulness in quiet seasons before leading you into greater opportunities. This inner transformation is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming more mature, more compassionate, more disciplined, and more willing to trust God's guidance each day. Progress is often made through small, consistent decisions, a kinder response, a wiser choice, a grateful attitude, a willingness to keep learning even when life feels uncertain. These moments may appear ordinary, but together they shape an extraordinary life. There will be people who remember the old version of you. They may expect you to think the same way, react the same way, or remain limited by the same fears. But as God continues His work within you, they will begin noticing that something has changed. You no longer respond with the same frustration. You no longer allow temporary setbacks to steal your peace. You no longer let fear control every decision. Your confidence becomes quieter, your wisdom becomes deeper, and your faith becomes stronger. The remarkable part of this journey is that you may not even recognize yourself at times. The person who once doubted every step begins walking with quiet confidence. The person who once worried constantly begins trusting more deeply. The person who once focused on limitations begins recognizing possibilities. This transformation is not the result of one dramatic moment. It is the result of God's faithful work in your life, day after day, choice after choice. Do not rush this process. Do not become discouraged because everything has not changed overnight. Lasting transformation takes time because God is building something that can endure every season. He is preparing you not just to receive blessings, but to carry them with wisdom, humility, and faith. So continue allowing God to shape your heart, renew your mind, and strengthen your character, because the person you are becoming will be far greater than the person you once believed you could be. And in time, both you and those around you will see the remarkable transformation that began quietly within you. Chosen one, as God continues transforming you from the inside out, you will begin to realize that the struggles you have faced were never meaningless. Every challenge, every delay, every disappointment, and every season of uncertainty has been shaping something within you that comfort alone could never produce. While it may have felt as though life was working against you, God may have been using those very moments to prepare you for the person you are becoming. It is natural to question difficult seasons. When obstacles appear one after another, you may wonder why the path feels so hard. You may ask why your prayers seem delayed or why progress feels slower than you expected. But growth rarely happens during the easiest moments of life. More often, it develops when you are challenged to keep believing, keep learning, and keep moving forward even when the outcome is not yet visible. Think about how strength is developed. No one becomes stronger by avoiding every challenge. Muscles grow stronger through resistance. Wisdom grows through experience. Patience grows through waiting. Courage grows when you choose to take the next step despite uncertainty. In the same way, your faith becomes deeper when it is tested, and your character becomes stronger when you continue doing what is right even during difficult seasons. Perhaps there were moments when you felt overlooked or underestimated. Maybe doors closed that you believed would change your future. Maybe people walked away, opportunities disappeared, or plans fell apart. At the time, those experiences may have seemed like setbacks. But looking back, you may already recognize that some of those disappointments protected you from paths that were never meant for you. Others taught you lessons that no classroom could ever teach. Every challenge leaves you with a choice. You can allow it to make you bitter, or you can allow it to make you wiser. You can let disappointment convince you to stop trying, or you can let it strengthen your determination. The struggle itself does not define your future. Your response to the struggle does. God is developing resilience within you. Resilience is the ability to keep moving forward without losing hope. It is choosing faith when fear tries to take control. It is remaining patient when answers do not come immediately. It is trusting that even when you cannot see the full picture, God is still working behind the scenes. There is something remarkable about people who have walked through difficult seasons with faith. They become more compassionate because they understand pain. They become more patient because they know what it feels like to wait. They become more grateful because they remember what it was like to have less. These qualities cannot be purchased. They are developed through experience, and they become part of the strength that prepares you for greater responsibilities. Do not believe the lie that your struggles have been wasted. Every lesson has added something valuable to your life. Every obstacle has revealed strengths you did not know you possessed. Every season has been preparing you to handle opportunities with greater wisdom and maturity than before. One day, you may look back and realize that the moments you once wanted to escape became the very moments that shaped your greatest strengths. They taught you perseverance, deepened your faith, refined your character, and prepared you for challenges that would have overwhelmed the person you used to be. So when the road feels difficult, remember that God is not only leading you toward a new destination, He is also shaping you into a stronger, wiser, and more faithful person along the way. And every challenge you overcome today is preparing you to confidently embrace the greater purpose that awaits you tomorrow. Chosen one, after recognizing that your struggles have been preparing you for greater strength, there comes a moment when God invites you to take another important step. That step is letting go of the old version of yourself. You cannot fully embrace the future God has prepared while continuing to live with the mindset, fears, and habits that belong to your past. Transformation requires more than hoping for change. It requires being willing to release what no longer belongs in your life. Many people pray for a new season while holding tightly to old ways of thinking. They ask God to lead them into greater opportunities, yet they continue believing they are unworthy of those opportunities. They hope for peace, but they refuse to let go of bitterness. They desire confidence, but they continue listening to the voice of fear. They ask for a fresh beginning while carrying the weight of yesterday on their shoulders. God wants you to understand that the person you were is not the person you are becoming. Perhaps there was a time when you allowed other people's opinions to determine your worth. Maybe you believed every criticism spoken over your life. Maybe you accepted labels that were never meant to define you. You may have convinced yourself that your past failures would always follow you, or that one mistake had permanently limited your future. But God does not build your future on yesterday's failures. He builds it on today's willingness to grow. Every new season begins with a decision to stop allowing fear to control your choices, a decision to stop replaying past disappointments, a decision to stop measuring yourself by old limitations. The old version of you may have doubted every opportunity before taking the first step. The new version of you learns to move forward with wisdom and faith. The old version of you may have reacted with anger whenever life became difficult. The new version chooses patience and self-control. The old version may have constantly compared your journey with everyone else's. The new version understands that God's plan for your life is unique and does not need to match anyone else's timeline. Growth always requires leaving something behind. Just as a traveler cannot move forward while refusing to leave the previous destination, you cannot fully step into your future while remaining emotionally attached to everything from your past. Some habits must be released, some unhealthy relationships must be left behind, some negative thoughts must no longer be entertained. These changes are not acts of loss, they are acts of preparation. There will be moments when this process feels uncomfortable because familiarity often feels safer than change. Even unhealthy patterns can become comfortable simply because they are familiar. But comfort does not always lead to growth. God often calls you beyond what feels familiar so that you can discover what is possible. Do not be surprised if people notice the change within you. Some may wonder why you no longer respond the way you once did. Others may question why your priorities have changed. That is because transformation changes more than your circumstances. It changes your perspective. The things that once consumed your attention no longer have the same influence. The distractions that once delayed your progress begin losing their power. This is not about pretending you never struggled. It is about refusing to let those struggles become your identity. Your past may have shaped part of your story, but it does not have the authority to write your future. Every lesson has prepared you. Every challenge has strengthened you. Every season has taught you something valuable. Chosen one, God is inviting you to see yourself through the lens of hope instead of regret. He sees possibilities where you see limitations. He sees potential where you remember mistakes. He sees a future filled with purpose while you may still be focused on the pain of the past. So begin releasing every thought, habit, and belief that no longer aligns with the person God is shaping you to become. Because the moment you stop living as the old version of yourself is the moment you create space for the remarkable transformation that has been quietly unfolding within you all along. Chosen one, as you release the old version of yourself and step into the person God is shaping you to become, you must also understand that every new season requires a new mindset. God can open doors that you have prayed for, but if your thinking remains trapped in yesterday's limitations, you may hesitate to walk through those doors. Transformation is not complete until your mind begins to agree with the future God is preparing for you. Many people ask God for change while continuing to think the same way they always have. They expect different results while holding onto the same fears, the same doubts, and the same negative beliefs. But every lasting transformation begins with a renewed way of thinking. Before your life changes outwardly, your perspective must change inwardly. Perhaps there was a time when you believed you were not capable enough, not experienced enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough. Those thoughts may have influenced your decisions for years. They may have caused you to miss opportunities simply because you assumed you would fail before you even tried. But God is inviting you to think differently. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" begin asking, "What if God is preparing me for something greater?" Instead of saying, "I could never do that," begin saying, "With God's wisdom and guidance, I can continue learning and growing." This shift may seem small, but it changes everything. Your mindset influences every decision you make. If you believe every obstacle is the end of your journey, you will stop moving forward. If you believe every challenge contains a lesson, you will continue growing. If you believe every closed door means rejection, discouragement will take control. But if you understand that some closed doors are actually directing you towards something better, hope begins replacing fear. That is the kind of thinking God wants to develop within you. A renewed mindset also changes the way you see responsibility. Many people dream about greater opportunities, but they overlook the responsibilities that come with them. Every blessing requires wisdom. Every opportunity requires preparation. Every new level requires greater maturity. God is not only preparing you to receive more, He is preparing you to handle more with integrity, patience, and humility. That is why your daily choices matter so much. The way you manage your time, the way you respond to criticism, the way you treat other people, the way you remain faithful during ordinary days. These seemingly small decisions quietly shape the future you are stepping into. Another important part of developing a new mindset is refusing to allow temporary setbacks to become permanent conclusions. Everyone experiences disappointment. Everyone encounters unexpected obstacles. Everyone faces seasons that test their faith. But successful people are not those who never struggle. They are the ones who refuse to let struggles define their future. They learn, they adjust, they continue moving forward with wisdom gained from experience. Chosen one, stop measuring your potential by yesterday's circumstances. Measure it by the person God is helping you become today. Every lesson has increased your wisdom. Every challenge has strengthened your character. Every season has expanded your understanding. You are not standing where you were a year ago. You have grown, even if the progress has been gradual. Never underestimate the power of renewing your thoughts each day. Feed your mind with truth instead of fear. Use gratitude instead of constant complaint. Choose hope instead of discouragement. Choose wisdom instead of impulse. Over time, these choices become habits, and those habits begin shaping the direction of your entire life. The remarkable thing about a renewed mindset is that it helps you recognize opportunities that fear would have caused you to ignore. It gives you the courage to step into unfamiliar places. It gives you the confidence to continue learning. It reminds you that growth is always possible as long as you remain willing to trust God's guidance. So embrace the new way of thinking that God is developing within you. Make every decision with wisdom and faith, and allow your renewed mindset to prepare you for the greater opportunities ahead. Because the person who thinks differently, lives differently, and trusts God more deeply is the person who will be ready to step confidently into the extraordinary future that has been prepared all along. Chosen one, as God continues transforming your heart, strengthening you through every challenge, helping you release your old identity, and renewing your mindset, something remarkable begins to happen. The change within you no longer remains hidden. It starts becoming visible in the way you speak, the way you respond to difficulties, the way you treat people, and the way you carry yourself through every season of life. Whether you realize it or not, your growth begins to inspire others. Many people think they need a large platform or a position of influence before they can make a difference. They believe they must have thousands of followers, extraordinary talents, or perfect circumstances before their life can encourage someone else. But God often works through ordinary people who simply choose to live with faith, integrity, humility, and perseverance. Your daily choices may be teaching someone more than you could ever imagine. Think about the people who have inspired you throughout your own journey. Chances are it was not because they never faced hardships. It was because of the way they responded to those hardships. You admired their patience during difficult times. You respected their honesty when compromise would have been easier. You noticed their kindness when others chose bitterness. Their example reminded you that it is possible to remain faithful even when life becomes challenging. In the same way, your life can become a source of encouragement for others. There may be someone quietly watching how you handle disappointment. Someone observing how you continue moving forward after a setback. Someone noticing that you choose gratitude instead of constant complaining. Someone seeing that you remain calm when others become overwhelmed by fear. They may never tell you. They may never express how much your example means to them, but your consistency is speaking louder than you realize. God often uses transformed lives as living reminders that hope is real. This is why your growth matters, not only for your own future, but also for the lives you may influence along the way. When people see genuine change in you, they become curious. They begin wondering what helped you develop such peace. They notice that your confidence is no longer based on circumstances. They recognize that your joy remains steady even when life is uncertain. They see wisdom replacing impulsive decisions. They see patience replacing frustration. They see compassion replacing anger. That kind of transformation cannot easily be ignored. Chosen one, never underestimate the impact of quiet faithfulness. You do not need to impress people. You simply need to remain faithful. Sometimes the strongest testimony is not found in dramatic speeches, but in a life consistently lived with integrity. When you keep your promises, people notice. When you treat others with respect, people notice. When you forgive instead of seeking revenge, people notice. When you continue doing what is right even when no one is watching, people notice. These moments may appear ordinary, but together they create an extraordinary example. There will also be times when people question the changes they see in you. Some may remember the person you used to be. They may expect you to react with the same impatience, the same fear, or the same insecurity. When you respond differently, they may not understand it at first. That is perfectly okay. Transformation often surprises the people who knew your old self. Do not feel pressured to return to old habits simply because they make others comfortable. Continue becoming the person God is shaping you to be. Your consistency will eventually speak for itself. As your life changes, opportunities to encourage others will naturally appear. Perhaps someone will ask how you remained hopeful during a difficult season. Perhaps a friend will seek your advice because they recognize your wisdom. Perhaps your perseverance will give another person the courage to keep going when they were ready to give up. These conversations may seem small, but they have lasting impact. Never assume that encouragement requires having all the answers. Sometimes people simply need to know that someone else has walked through uncertainty and continued trusting God. Your story reminds them that growth is possible. Your example reminds them that change is possible. Your perseverance reminds them that setbacks do not have to become permanent defeats. Another beautiful part of spiritual growth is that it creates humility rather than pride. The more you recognize how much God has taught you, the more patient you become with people who are still learning. Instead of judging them for where they are, you begin remembering where you once were. That perspective changes the way you speak. It changes the way you listen. It changes the way you encourage others. Rather than comparing yourself with people, you begin lifting them up. You celebrate their progress instead of competing with it. You offer hope instead of criticism. You become someone who builds others instead of tearing them down. This is one of the greatest signs of genuine transformation. Your heart becomes more concerned with helping others grow than with proving yourself. Chosen one, your influence is not determined by how many people know your name. It is determined by how many lives are positively affected because you chose to live with faith, wisdom, kindness, and integrity. Every encouraging word matters. Every act of generosity matters. Every moment of patience matters. Every example of forgiveness matters. These simple choices create ripples that extend far beyond what you can currently see. One day, someone may tell you that your courage helped them keep believing. Your kindness helped them through a difficult season. Your faithfulness inspired them not to give up. You may never have realized your life was making such a difference. That is how God often works. He uses ordinary acts of obedience to produce extraordinary results in the lives of others. So continue becoming the person God is calling you to be. Continue living with humility, wisdom, compassion, and unwavering faith, because the transformation taking place within you is not only preparing you for your own future, but also becoming a powerful source of hope, encouragement, and inspiration for countless others who will one day look at your life and realize that if God can transform you, then transformation is possible for them as well. Chosen one, as we come to the final part of this message, pause for a moment and think about everything God has been teaching you. You have learned that real transformation begins within your heart, before it ever becomes visible in your circumstances. You have discovered that your struggles have been building strength instead of destroying your future. You have been encouraged to let go of your old identity, to renew your mindset, and to allow your growth to become a source of hope for others. Now, there is one final truth that holds all of these lessons together. Keep trusting God's process until the transformation is complete. One of the hardest parts of any journey is remaining faithful when the results are not yet visible. It is easy to stay encouraged when everything seems to be moving quickly. It is much more difficult to remain patient during seasons when progress feels slow. You may wonder if anything is changing. You may question whether your prayers are making a difference. You may even be tempted to believe that you have been forgotten. But God's work is often happening beneath the surface, long before you can see it with your eyes. Think about a seed that has been planted in the ground. For a long time, nothing appears to be happening. The surface looks exactly the same day after day, yet underneath the soil, roots are quietly growing stronger. Those hidden roots are preparing the plant to stand firm when it finally begins to rise. If someone judged the process only by what they could immediately see, they might wrongly assume that nothing was growing at all. Your life often follows that same pattern. There are seasons when God is strengthening your roots instead of displaying your fruit. He is teaching patience, He is developing wisdom, He is refining your character, He is preparing you for responsibilities that would have overwhelmed you if they had arrived too soon. Never mistake a quiet season for an empty season. Sometimes silence is simply preparation. Chosen one, God's timing is different from human timing. We often want immediate answers because we can only see the present moment. God sees the entire journey. He knows what lessons you still need to learn, what opportunities are ahead, and what challenges you will eventually overcome. Because He sees the full picture, His preparation is always intentional. There may be moments when you become impatient. You may wonder why someone else seems to be moving ahead faster. You may question why certain doors have not yet opened. But comparison has never strengthened anyone's faith. It only distracts you from the work God is doing in your own life. Remember that your purpose is unique. Your experiences are unique. Your growth is unique. God is writing a story that belongs to you alone. Trusting His process means accepting that your journey does not have to look like anyone else's. Continue showing up every day with a willing heart. Continue making wise decisions. Continue treating people with kindness. Continue learning from your mistakes. Continue praying with confidence. Continue growing even when no one applauds your progress. These quiet acts of faithfulness are shaping the person you are becoming. Transformation rarely happens in one dramatic moment. It happens through thousands of small choices. Every time you choose forgiveness over resentment, you grow. Every time you choose patience over frustration, you grow. Every time you choose integrity over compromise, you grow. Every time you choose faith over fear, you grow. These decisions may seem ordinary, but together they build an extraordinary life. There will be days when you feel stronger than ever. There will also be days when you feel tired, uncertain, or discouraged. Do not allow temporary emotions to determine your direction. Even on difficult days, continue taking the next faithful step. Progress is not measured by perfection. It is measured by persistence. God is not asking you to have everything figured out. He is asking you to remain willing to follow His guidance one step at a time. One day, you will look back and realize that the person you have become is very different from the person you once were. You will notice that your peace has grown deeper, your wisdom has become greater, your faith has become stronger, your reactions have become calmer. Your confidence no longer depends on circumstances, but on the steady assurance that God has been leading you all along. You may even surprise yourself. The fears that once controlled you will no longer have the same power. The doubts that once held you back will no longer define your decisions. The challenges that once seemed impossible will become reminders of how far you have come. That is the beauty of God's process. He does not simply change your situation. He changes you. And when you are transformed from the inside out, you are prepared to walk through every new opportunity with humility, wisdom, and unwavering faith. So keep trusting God even when the path is not completely clear. Keep embracing every lesson with a willing heart, and keep moving forward one faithful step at a time, because the transformation He has begun within you is still unfolding, and in His perfect timing you will become the person He has been preparing you to be all along.